As we say goodbye to the 3-year powerhouse that was Transformers Legacy and make way for the Age of Primes, I thought it might be fun to end the year looking over the insane ride that was the Legacy Stunticons. I will admit that at first I wasn't super excited by the new Stunticons. The Combiner Wars had drawn me in a big way, and the idea of a set of figures I'd feel compelled to complete is always a bother on my brain. But as pictures leaked and reviews came out, I got excited and saw the potential of making a Menasor that I could really enjoy. Since the Combiner Wars version wasn't exactly the greatest, Wild Rider and Dead End are probably the very definition of a mixed bag for me. In each mode they look good, but there's a few little bothersome bits that get in the way of making these great figures, in my opinion. In robot mode, I have to give it to the design team, as both figures are beautifully detailed. Wild Rider in particular has some fantastic sculpting throughout, particularly his head. I love the little horns on the side, and the way the bright red face sticks out. I do wish he was sporting some lighter gray or silver paint apps here and there, because the dark gray plastic really hides some excellent sculpting. When this figure first came out, a lot of people complained about the cape that was formed from the front end of the car, but it doesn't really bother me much. What does bother me is the way the windshield sticks out perpendicular to the body, kind of messing with the whole silhouette of the figure. Dead End, I have to say, looks fantastic, from the top of his head to the base of his shins. It's almost like they ran out of time when they got to Dead End's feet. Which is a shame, because the rest of him is really nicely done. I love his beautifully generic head sculpt and muted colors contrasting with the silver chest. It all complements the character really well. He just can't stand up well because his feet are just thin slivers of the back end of a car. I guess you could say it's a very G1 thing to do, but I think we've moved beyond this now. Both of these guys look the part and come with fantastic sets of pistols that they can dual wield like champs. But here is again where I find another small complaint, particularly with Wild Rider. While he is sculpted very nicely, his arms have third-party level sharp edges on them that just make him unpleasant to manipulate. At the same time, the shoulder wheels on Dead End tend to pop off easily when you try to pose them. Again, these are minor frustrations, but it all stems from issues that could have easily been avoided in the design process. Transforming these guys is an interesting affair. Wild Rider is not exactly pleasant to convert due to the aforementioned razor blade-like arms. But when he comes together, his vehicle mode is insanely cool. Dead End, on the other hand, feels like he's two different toys in one, which makes sense given that he splits in half for the combined mode. But I'm jumping ahead. The legs are a pretty simple affair, but the upper torso is very satisfying. I love the way the front wheels get rotated and the chest unfolds to form the guts of the vehicle, only to have the car hood snap over everything in a very precise manner. Both bots in vehicle mode look gorgeous. The colors and details are a treat for your eyes. I always love the impractically badass red windows on a Decepticon. So, of the two, Wild Rider definitely wins. But I will say, I like both vehicle modes a lot. The weapons can be mounted on both figures in this mode to give them a little firepower while they hit the road with reckless abandon. Dead End and Wild Rider are flawed figures. There's no doubt about that. But they look nice in both modes and come with fantastic accessories. I will say, if they weren't part of a set, I probably would not have bought these figures. But they are, and I did. So I guess the next thing we have to do is take a look at their teammates, Dragstrip and Breakdown. As Legacy Wave 1 released, I had, we'll say, lower expectations when it came to Dragstrip. New line of toys? It's like a new Doctor Who. You always give the first wave a little leeway as it settles into a groove. But he ended up surprising the crap out of me. Just an overall great figure. Wonderful sculpting, beautiful colors, and just defying expectations as to not only Wave 1 figures of a new line, but also what to expect from a combiner limb. Usually there's some compromise to be had, but honestly, Dragstrip just kinda nails it. Breakdown, on the other hand, is not my favorite of these Stunticons. Sharing designs with Wild Rider doesn't really help, as all the same flaws flare up. Don't get me wrong, Breakdown looks how he's supposed to, and I do harbor some nostalgia for the guy, being one of the only G1 Stunticons I had as a kid. But this version suffers all the same problems along with some bonus issues. Namely, the lame spoiler weapon that just feels tacked on. It doesn't work in any way that looks cool, and you just end up sticking an off-white piece of plastic anywhere you can, just to get it out of the way. There's no denying that both figures look fantastic though. With wonderful colors and sculpting, the brighter color scheme of Breakdown brings out the sculpted details that were harder to spot on Wild Rider. The two contrast really well together, making them feel very different, even though overall they're basically the same toy. Dragstrip, being the most unique member of the Stunticon limbs, as far as looks and design, just makes me happy. And it was honestly how good he turned out that compelled me to pursue getting all the others. I've managed to resist the repaint of this figure. Considering rising costs, I don't want to invest in a G2 repaint, even if it's been a long time coming to finish it. But as I look over Dragstrip, I wouldn't say no to an RID Skids repaint of him. With his fantastic articulation and wonderfully sculpted weapons, I just love this guy. It's a shame, because he's so good, he actually makes the rest of the Stunticon limbs seem even worse by comparison. Transforming these two is like night and day. Breakdown is the same level of mildly frustrating that Wild Rider was, with his unforgiving sharp edges, and a tendency to not quite fit right for some reason. When you fiddle with him enough, he does result in a gorgeous sports car mode. The cream color would be boring, but it actually works great with the pops of blue and red to make, in my opinion, a really beautiful vehicle mode. They even painted the tire rims. Dragstrip, on the other hand, is really fun to transform. I love the way the arms collapse upwards to form the front end of his race car mode. The final result is just really well done. The use of gold, red, and silver to break up the yellow is fantastic. My only complaint is how Dragstrip's head becomes the driver's seat. It honestly just looks a bit silly, because it's very clearly just Dragstrip's head, and kind of breaks up the illusion for me. If it isn't obvious, Dragstrip is the clear winner for me, as the overall best of the Stunticon limbs. And even though I have some issues with the others, I do like them. They look great together in either mode, and despite the flaws, I will admit they are pretty decent designs, bringing this old school team to the modern era of Transformers. But there's one more member of the Stunticons left, and he runs his team with an iron fist and a sharp blade. The true king of the road is coming out to play next.
Alright, you worthless gearheads, it's my turn! Cue the stupid intro, flashbag! Hello! It has been brought to my attention that it is not appropriate to threaten you sweaty, disgusting flashbags into supporting the channel. Scourge, you can't insult them either. Well, what am I supposed to do then? Just ask them nicely for their support. It's not hard. Ugh, fine. Hello, humans. If you like this content, please support it. And I promise to not destroy you. Scourge!
And so we come to the end of our epic 3-part goodbye to Legacy. I find it fitting that we conclude with the leader of the Stunticons, the real king of the road, Motormaster.
Wasted 2 videos on those idiots in my opinion, but you got there in the end.
Oh no, I am not going to banter back and forth with you. I went through that nonsense with Scourge, I'm not doing it with you. No one likes when you guys take over a video.
I disagree.
Anyway, Motormaster is a Commander class figure, which in a lot of ways was a deterrent for some people from going for these Stunticons. But after the toy was revealed, like Rodimus Prime, I started to appreciate the intricate engineering and details of the figure.
Rodimus? Really? That loser?
Not engaging. The vehicle mode is fantastic, with the cab itself being a pretty faithful looking update to the original design. The major difference being that his robot mode now is solely housed in the truck cab, while the trailer serves a greater purpose later on for the combined mode. I like this change, honestly. It helps a lot with the scale for the character, and allows the design team to incorporate more cartoon-accurate colors when we get to the robot mode. The vehicle mode is fun, though I will say some of the trailer wheels don't stay in place when rolling him around very well. But overall, I enjoy the mode.
Hey, nobody is perfect. I can hear your fragile bones cracking whenever you move, Fleshbag.
Transforming Motormaster is, dare I say it, fun. For such an intricate figure, I really like converting him back and forth. It's an intuitive transformation that uses some clever tricks to get the robot mode looking as animation accurate as possible. I particularly like the way the feet form through a clever use of truck panels that cover up and move about to create the illusion of mass shifting. The original Motormaster's feet were made up of the entire truck cab, so this was a neat compromise, all but a silly one.
Stop talking about my feet, you weirdo!
The robot mode is sporting some satisfying articulation, and some incredibly sculpted detail. It's honestly a treat to look at. I also love the colors on this guy. The clean white on the arms stands out so bright against the black body, with some lovely touches of purple and silver that just pop. And of course, he's sporting that signature box head that would look ridiculous on any other bot but him.
I've never blushed before, and I'm not going to start now!
Motormaster wields his signature sword with ease, but it does bring up one of the complaints about the figure. Stock Motormaster comes with one sword, and I don't mind it for his robot mode, but it does scale pretty poorly with the combined mode later on. Meanwhile, the trailer, well, you guessed it, it has a base mode. Like all trailers do. This one is a little interesting, but it's just as silly as most. Any scrutiny you care to give reveals its actual nature quite clearly. But it's kind of fun to position the other members of the team around the different outcroppings, as if it was a mobile base of operations for them to work from.
Stop letting those losers touch my stuff!
Look, do you really enjoy this sort of thing?
What do you mean?
Does this give you a full satisfying life? Stomping around, yelling at and belittling everyone you work with?
Well, I mean, yes.
Oh. Well, never mind then. So, combined mode?
Stunticons, merge to form Menasor!
Now, combiners are tricky in Transformers. There's a balance you want in fun to transform, looking right, and enjoyability once it's together. Over the last 40 years, we've seen lots of combiners hit or miss these different aspects. I can't speak for every Transformers fan, but to me, this is one of the few that nails all three. The trailer serves as a skeletal structure for Menasor, which, in my opinion, is actually pretty brilliant. It solves the problem of combiners never looking exactly right, proportionally speaking. And it honestly works to make what might be the most cartoon accurate of all the Menasors. The official ones, anyway. Yes, it does feel a bit like cheating, because the limbs are more slapped onto the skeletal structure than actually forming the combiner limb. But for Menasor in particular, this actually feels accurate to how he looked on the show back in the day. I like it, and it serves to make the combined form much more stable and articulated. The result is a fantastic looking Menasor that just absolutely nails it. Now, yes, I did indulge in an upgrade kit for mine. I like the idea of articulated hands, and I'm sorry, but the original sword was just way too small in my opinion. The other parts of the kit got sent to a friend of mine, because he unfortunately had a catastrophic failure with his Motormaster. The shoulder tabs are on a very tight hinge that resulted in some breaking. Hopefully the new chest piece helped him to learn to love the figure again. Legacy Menasor is a success in my eyes, sporting excellent posability for a combiner. The other members of the team attach in clever ways that allow the look to shine through without compromising on function. The feet are probably the most controversial part of the combiner, because when you attach them, a faux underside slides into place. But honestly, Transformers is no stranger to faux parts like this, and it kinda works to create the illusion of mass shifting. The individual bots of the Stunticons vary for me when it comes to my enjoyment of them, but I really like Menasor as a whole. It's such a fantastic looking combiner to display and mess around with. It's a shame we haven't yet gotten an Autobot combiner to face off with him at this scale. He towers over the Combiner Wars guys. So I've had to find a substitute to hold him off until the aerial bots arrive. So there you have it, the Legacy Stunticons. An ambitious release to be sure, but I think overall, despite the flaws, a pretty successful group of figures.
Mostly thanks to me.
Yep, sure. Let's leave it at that.
Hey, what do you think you're doing? What? You're stealing my stick. Oh, blow it out your exhaust port. I was ruling the road before your repainted butt was even a thought. What? I'm a repaint? Duh! Is that true?
Oh, come on, man. We weren't going to tell him till he was older.
He's 23!
Fear not, brave viewers, for Skylinks is here to remind you to hit the subscribe button. And remember, if Skylinks thinks it's a good idea, then you really can't go wrong.